K-Wave 6 Radio and our host Kirk Spencer welcome you to our show bringing positive messages to today's world. And now, here's Kirk.
Hello and welcome to K-Wave 6 Radio. And today my guest is a old friend of mine, and you probably know him from the previous show that I had on Your Thoughts, Your Reality Radio. His name is Andy Peacher. He's from England. Today our subject we're going to talk about is about the Scottish referendum. I know it's passed, but what does it mean? What does it mean to Scotland? What does it mean to England? And why was all of this going on in the first place? Because for most of us, especially over here in the Americas, we probably just think of Braveheart, the movie about William Wallace, starring Mel Gibson, and their fight to continue to be independent and not joining in with England and making Britain, so on and so forth. So we're going to ask Andy to tell us a little bit about that. But before I start in with that, I'm going to read just the last two paragraphs of an article from the Guardian newspaper on the Scottish referendum, Not Britain versus Scotland. That's the title of it. So the last two paragraphs reads, "It is not too late to build a more progressive vision of a Britain that can accommodate Scotland's interests and values and is more in tune with a progressive view of our British future. Ed Ball's Commission on an Inclusive Globalization should report on how the UK and Scottish governments can work together to address the insecurities and inequalities that are turning people to seek protection in nationalist and anti-EU, anti-immigration parties. Scottish Labour has to breathe new life into and devolve new responsibility to Scottish civic institutions whose ability to speak for Scotland has been drowned out by an obsession with centralizing powers under a Scottish state. And we need to continue the fundamental reform of the British Constitution that Labour began." So, 2014 is indeed a moment of destiny for Scotland, but it is not the point of departure. The nationalists think it is. It is the moment to demonstrate how distinct nations, proud of their cultural identities, can also transcend them. By demanding a British welfare state, 20th century Scots pointed the way to civilizing an industrial economy without losing your sense of who you are. Now in 2014, we can show how a multinational association that shares risk, rewards, and resources is a beacon for the world of the future. Scotland's destiny lies not in leaving Britain, but in leading it. Now, this was before the referendum vote, so we're going to take it from there and let Andy tell us about his view from what he sees. So welcome to the show, Andy Peacher.
You're welcome, Kirk. I'm glad to be back again. I think, well, basically, based on history, I think what really happened in the 18th century and probably long well before that, Scottish people thought they were better than the English thought they were better than the Scotland, and then the Welsh got involved and the Irish. And I think one day, and it was on the 16th of April, 1746, so that's not even in the 18th century, do apologise, but 1746 anyway, in the 17th century on Drumossie Moor, which is overlooking Inverness. A well-supplied Hanoverian army led by the Duke of Cumberland, son of King George II. They had a small army against the English, and it was a bloody bath, the Jacobite battles of all battles. After that, for some reason, because what there were before that was obviously there was all fighting, I want to be independent and all that. So I think on that battle, it settled down for many, many years. And now, of course, Scotland wants to be independent again. Now, I think the reason for that, as described in that article, was Europe seems to be taken over we've got the Westminster government not being fair to Scotland. And the only reason, I mean, this was before, obviously, the referendum vote. David Cameron actually said to all the Scottish no voters, well, if you do this and you do that and you say no, I'll promise this and I'll promise that. Now, basically what Cameron promised was devolution after a no vote. So what he's saying to everybody, and he's extended that now to English, Welsh and Irish, David Cameron has declared a clear well, this is, hang on, I'm trying to find the point where he said, well, anyway, I'll ad lib because the paper's silly. Do apologise. Yeah, so anyway, won't say what the vote was, but before the vote, David Cameron said to Scotland, vote no, and we will give you a form of independence. Stay with the UK because we love you to bits, but you can have more control. Here's the money, but kind of don't make it official. He extended that devolution notice to every county in the UK and in Wales and in Northern Ireland. So every local government could run independently. We also got Billy Connolly saying, you know, there's going to be hell to play and war if David Cameron don't keep his promise. And word on the streets is that all these promises, guess what? They will come. All the parties agreeing that Cameron must do it. But guess what? Not until after the May 15 elections. So if David Cameron, of course, don't get in to keep his pledges, then another government will probably say, well, that wasn't, you know, we didn't do that. That was Cameron. So, again, we're fighting.
Oh, jeez. So what is the big deal about running more locally independent governments? I mean, what is the real move in that? What is the real, say, motive behind all of that?
I think the main thing is that the people will get the say. This is what we're led to believe. You know, the taxes will be lower if they control their own local economy. They won't have to keep running back to daddy for money, you know, the government. Mm-hmm. And the local people have a sense of, you know, if it's going to go wrong, we can decide what we do together. But then, you know, I think the opposite. If local government takes over, you'll have a mini David Cameron, I mean, for example, than a national David Cameron, because there'll be individual leaders of each area, you know, controlling the purse strings, and they will use that against you. Or so really, whatever you do in politics, you can't win, and nor can the people.
Well, knowing something about, not a whole lot, but knowing something about British history, it sounds like you're going back almost into a feudal system, going back to where the local governments are taking over and they're ruling, and they just have, if you will, alliances with, well, let's just go from county to county. One county government is its own lord, and I'm sorry, I have to go back to the days of Robin Hood, okay? The county and the sheriff and so on and so forth. So you have these counties that have allegiances to their neighbors. So, you know, there's fair trade that's going on back and forth, but the county commissioner, I'll say it in at least in American terms, the county commissioner rules that particular county, not say as a ruler, but as the leader. Let's just use that in modern terminology. He is the leader of that government, that local government, and the people that are voted in the county government level tend to run that particular county. So how would that actually work for you in the future if it goes that way? From your opinion, anyway.
Yeah, well, from my opinion, I'm thinking if the county government leader was fair, we could end up with common law back again. Sorry, I was going to say something else. Common law instead of common purpose, because at the moment we've got common purpose. There's nothing for the people at the moment. It's just for selfish governments. But if we went back to common law in the Magna Carta, and the sheriffs of the area or the leaders that were playing fair, I think we could have a very good, thing going there. 86% of Britain wants, they call it devolution. I don't know if that's the right word, but they want independent counties. And I think that would work very good, because what would happen is, let's say you had a major problem, for argument's sake, that the councils were taking too many children into care for the wrong reasons, you could then literally march on the palace or the town hall and say, look, this is not fair. These are the reasons. They'd all probably say, da-da-da, we'll have a meeting, let's discuss it. But you can't do that at the moment with central government, because your MP that represents your county or your area doesn't have the time to deal with every single issue. That's why I think dealing with politics locally might be a benefit. And certainly you could have your own currency and control everything.
Yeah, I'm thinking about as you're saying, the common law. Okay, let me ask you this. If you were to go back to a common law system, going back to the Magna Carta, and the counties actually regulated their own, or should we say not regulated, but governed themselves, and had a federal leadership which basically is there to protect the nation, as it were, against foreign invaders, so on and so forth. And you were able to, at a county level, to govern yourselves, your trade, your local laws, etc., as long as it's running with the national constitution. How do you see that working?
Well, didn't we do that years ago? Years ago we had to manage.
Yeah.
So obviously, why can't we manage in the future? Because, what's happening is you're giving so much money for your taxes, for roads, for police, for fire. None of that money's being used on that. Mm-hmm. It's going either to local government fat cap payouts, or it's going to national government to get them out of debt.
Yeah.
So it'd be like if you owned money, and you had a family, and you wanted a bit of rent off of people, you wanted food money, you wanted a bit of electric and gas money. This is very small time. If there's profit at the end, you'll buy a new bench for the garden, or you would buy, paint the house again. But on a county level, it would work the same. I think a monetary system, all the money needs to be collected in and burned, and we start again, possibly with no money, but use the digital age of, you get 100 credits to spend, or same idea, but not actually with any real value. But, if you've got £1,000 in the bank now, you've got 1,000 credits in the bank.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And I'm just, you said give my point of view. I'm just going back to the old system, how it was, and, and then going on to biblical terms or biblical examples. If someone who's got 10 cars, they don't need 10 cars. They should have one car and give the other 9 to people who don't have cars. If they've got £2 million property, sell it and, give them a nice house because they earned it. But give somebody else who hasn't got a house. So we all got equal share of everything.
Let me get back to that in just a moment. We're going to take a break here, our first break. So we're having an interview with Andy Peacher from England. We're talking about the Scottish referendum. Stay tuned and we'll be right back.
Aloha from Maui, Hawaii. This is Carrie Gray of My Green Insurance at mygreeninsurance.com. Thank you for joining us. We're the first co-op for alternative medicine health coverage. You're listening to us on kwave6radio.tk. Aloha!
Do you need a website or a webmaster for your business or hobby? A wordsmith for a research paper, or for a script, an article, or for a language translator? Do you need an audio or visual project created or edited? Contact K-Wave6 Productions at www.kwave6productions.tk for all your website, writing, audio, and visual needs. Our rates are competitive and our services are excellent. That's K-Wave6 Productions at www.kwave6productions.tk or email us at info@kwave6productions.tk.
Hi, this is Dr. Nick Leroy, and you're listening to K-Wave6 Radio with its host, Kirk Spencer. I'm a holistic physician. I specialize in women's health, breast thermography, the alternative treatment of cervical dysplasia, and gastrointestinal disorders. And you can find me at drnick.net.
Hi and welcome back. Today my guest is Andy Peacher from England, and we're still talking about the Scottish referendum. We've quoted a little bit from the Guardian newspaper. That was before the referendum went to vote. But Andy is going to continue on with what has happened since then. And before our break, we were talking about de-evolution, basically the de-evolution not of society but of laws, because everywhere in the world pretty much we have seen the evolution of laws that are basically creating a stranglehold on society. And Andy was talking about what I'll just kind of title more of the socialism side instead of the capitalism side. Now, socialism has its own advantages, and so does capitalism. But capitalism is what has pretty much put us where we are in the world today. So, if you will, Andy, can you continue on with this de-evolution and getting back to more of the Magna Carta and bringing up what you were talking about just as we went into break, about if you've got 10 cars, keep one and give 9 away. If you've got a whole lot of property, sell it and give it to people with less. Continue on with that thought, if you will.
Yeah, I do think, I don't know if listeners agree, that when you're born, you got nothing. Yes, your parents have got nothing, but when they were born, they also never had nothing. So you've had to build things up, and you'll get the majority of human beings, you know, if somebody hasn't got anything, they'll get a donation from somebody who has. Yeah, it's just being neighbourly, brotherly, whatever you want to call it. But then you get the other side of it. The more you get, the more greedy you become. So the only way to stop fighting in wars, I think, there'll always be fighting, there'll always be wars over something, but the majority of wars are either on religious issues, it's either on money issues, and joking apart, it's sometimes on women issues. Because somebody said to me once that there's 3 or 4 evils in no particular order, and that's money, religion, and so on, politics. Mm-hmm. So I think we should all start again. Go all the banks, delete everybody's monetary value, and then just let's start again. Obviously, you have to respect the people who have made money. So, I think it's because we've got it on paper. You've got it in your hand. Oh, look, I've got £20. Well, that poor man, he's only got £1. And we seem to think, well, we're higher than them. We're some kind of, they're the plebs and we're the rich people. But we're all equal, whether you've got £1 million or just $1. We're all equal. And I think let's not talk about the governments around the world, but let's say in Great Britain, if we all did get the devolution, and we all had to run our own counties, or at least our elected official or officials run the local area, based on common law and godly principles, I think we could have a wonderful life.
Hmm. Well, I'm as well. My accent gives it away. I am one who grew up in the Americas, and one of the things that the Native Americans here used to, well, still say actually, is that when Europeans came to the what is now called the United States, it says there were millions of us. There's like 6 million in the whole country. Now there's less than a million. Well, there was less than a million after World War II. But they said, you called us uncivilized, but yet we lived in a civilization where there weren't wars. There were skirmishes between tribes and stuff like that, but they had learned thousands of years before the Europeans came to the Americas that you didn't have to kill your neighbor or from someone from another tribe. So what they would do is they would wage little wars, and it would be their equivalent of doing a boxing match. And you get hit, blah blah, you win the fight, and you go home. That was the majority of them anyway. And they didn't have jail systems. There wasn't such a thing as murder, there wasn't so much as thievery and all the rest of that. And they says, you call us the uncivilized people? It's kind of, that's the way that we think about it, because face it, most of what goes on in today's world is about, let's go into another land and take their resources. And with that, the greed that comes with it, and then the laws that they make to make their greed legitimate. So it's not pointing a finger or blaming somebody, but this is just the way society has turned out and the reasons why. So that's why I'm kind of asking, now, socialism, it works on many levels, especially it worked in a lot of native cultures. So it can work. The biggest problem I see with capitalism is just what you're talking about. I have 20 pounds. This guy over here only has 1 pound. That makes me, I must be better. So elaborate on that thought if you can.
Yeah, well, it goes the same with jobs, doesn't it? I'm the CEO of this company. You're the people who answer the telephones. I'm going to, use my power to control you. And that's what it's all about. Money, power is to control. And when Adam and Eve, go back to the Bible, when Adam and Eve was given the choice to be perfect, so we could all be perfect, they decided to eat the apple because they believed Satan. Satan told one of them to eat the apple, and they did. They had a choice to be perfect or to be bad. And I think power and money is the same situation. There's a lot of wealthy people, very kind, but there's a lot of wealthy people, very power, money friendly, money orientated. And I think that's what's wrong with the world. Mm-hmm. And well, I would also bring that into we're not talking about the subject just yet, but later on we'll comment on it. I'd bring this into the people from foreign lands that live in our own land, like over in the UK and the US, lots and lots of Muslims, there's lots and lots of Polish, there's lots and lots of immigrants. They're only here, let's face it, because we allowed it. But once you invite somebody to your home, halfway through the meal, you don't say goodbye, don't want you anymore because we're having music on and you don't like it or you're deaf. So when you invite somebody into your country and you invite too many people, you can't then turn around and say, go back to your own country, we decide, we want to get a soap out and do some ethnic cleansing. That's not on. You've invited these people to be part of your human race, and you should stick by it. So, in another example, greed and getting it wrong and power have taken it out on real people that matter.
I'm going to come back actually to that thought in just a moment, but I do want to ask you one other question, kind of getting back to Scotland and the referendum and whatnot. In the United States, in Canada, and even here in Mexico, there is the republic, and it's a democratic republic, which means that the public can actually vote on something and the leaders will go, well, that works well with us, so yes, we'll enact it, or no, we can't do that because that would actually harm us in the long run, and they can point it out. Now, in Britain, you still have a monarchy, and you also have a, per se, democratically run government. How does that actually work? Because I'm going to assume there's quite a few people that don't understand this. So how does the monarchy still fit into now what is a democratic republic, which means you have, in your case, the MPs and the rest of it?
Maybe I didn't understand the question, but I can tell you what happens in politics. Officially, the person will go to their MP for this problem. Whatever the problem is, it don't matter. The MP then normally can fix it by writing to central government in London, and hopefully that's the end of that. The problem's solved. Often the MPs can't fix the problem, and London, for some reason, don't want to know. You always get a standard letter of, sorry about your problem, but X, Y, Z, full stop. Now, sometimes the MPs in your area, they're either too busy or can't fix the problem, but there's an MP in another part of the country that could fix your problem, but they've put in these rules. You can only get help from a member of parliament if you live in their area. So you would expect your own MP to do the same job, but it don't work like that. And to go on to the question a little bit more, so when governments failed you and your local MPs failed you, there is somebody else who can help you, but they can't because you don't live in their area. Let's say you're successful and you're very lucky and you get through all that red tape. All the Queen really does in this country, apart from she has loads of money and she likes being on TV. The weddings and the babies are good for publicity. When it comes to any laws, she just, well, not literally, but her staff sit there with a rubber stamp. So if David Cameron says, oh, I find that we're going to invade Iraq again, as long as the MPs have agreed, Queen's office goes stamp, go ahead. Which really, think about it. The same with local government. They're removing children. I keep saying this as an example because it's passionate, but they remove children with no good reason, and all it is with the courts, the same thing the Queen does. It's rubber stamped. That judge is perjuring himself or herself, not knowing the full details of each case. The social worker comes up with an argument, the parents with another, and the social worker always wins because it's a system of, we call it the rubber stamping system. There is another word for it, but they just rubber stamp things in this country. They're not bothered whether it's right or wrong.
Yeah, in the next 2 minutes that we have before we have to take another break, why don't you tell us a little bit about what your passion is? If you're a listener of Freedom Talk Radio, you know that Andy is involved in a number of shows, but he does have a certain passion, especially related to children. So give us a little bit about that before we take a break, and then we'll continue on after our break.
Yeah, well, my passion is for openness and fairness for everyone in the country and indeed in the world. My passion also is to get my own children back that were legally stolen by the state. Just Google child stealing by the state. It's happening in every country in the world. But if I was God, I would give everybody equal money. I would give everybody equal powers. And there should be a system where if you are greedy or you commit crime, you'll be, sort of bedridden for a week with something silly. Like, no, I won't even mention it, but you know what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Something that people don't really like. But that's how the world should be. I just wish if there is a creator that he should be more, or she should be more powerful than the human beings are. But it could be that our creator is just wishful thinking. But having said that, if you pray enough spiritually, want something, it will happen. And my passion is for fairness, really, and to get everybody showing some love and respect for each other on this planet.
Indeed. All right, we're going to take our break here, so please stay tuned. We'll be back with Andy Petrie, and we'll continue on with the Scottish referendum and other little topics that goes along with it. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Hi, this is Kate McKay, the Mass Motivator at kate-mckay.com. You're tuned in to the amazing K-Wave 6 Radio.
Hi, this is Pat Kammer, author of Love's Voice Changes You, Book 1. And I now have Book 2, which is called Hello Awesome, Message from Spirit in Pat's Patters. Buy your book from Amazon.com.
Hi, this is Amy Young of JSJ Phone. We are providers of junior iPhone, iPad, iPod, also Samsung, Sony, Nokia parts and accessories at very good quality and low prices. We sell to individuals, and companies have 3 to 5 days delivery time by DHL or UPS. We do delivery in 24 hours after payment confirmed. For more information, see our website www.jsjphone.com www.jsjphone.com. Contact me, Amy Young, mailbox emy@jsjphone.com or by phone 0086 13418696395, by Skype emy.yang2012.
Hi, this is Richard Steinitz. I'm the author of Murder Over the Border, an Israeli detective novel, and Kaplan's Quest, a historical novel with an Israeli connection. I hope you like the books. You can follow me on Twitter, on Facebook, and even contact me by email on richard.steinitz@gmail.com. And I've enjoyed being here on K-Wave 6 Radio with Kirk.
Hello and welcome back. Today again my guest is Andy Petrie from England. Just before the break we were talking about his passion, which we're going to get into and probably even do another show concerning his passion. But we'll talk about that later. But let's continue on with, I was asking the question and we were talking about it during the break. What is the role of the monarchy in a democratic republican system that basically now most countries have, especially Western countries? So you have elected officials, so what is the role of the Queen of England and the family?
It's most certainly a public relations exercise, as I said before, they're more bothered about, the babies coming, the royal weddings, putting their picture in the papers as doing something. But on the official website of the British monarchy, now this is the Queen's own website, or at least government's website on the British monarchy, what role does the Queen play? And it says, as head of state, the Queen has to remain strictly neutral with respect to political matters, unable to vote or stand for election. But the Queen does have important ceremonial and formal roles. This is where the PR comes into it in relation to the government of the UK. The formal phrase Queen in Parliament is used to describe the British legislature, which consists of the Sovereign, the House of Lords. Oh no, that's not the one I wanted actually. But basically, in a nutshell, she doesn't do anything because it says she's not allowed to.
Okay. Just curious about that. But we're going to switch gears now, and we're going to go back to what you were talking about. I'm going to give the idea that you gave, which was inviting others. You were talking about bringing people from other countries, other lands, into England in this case. You're inviting others to join you for dinner. And somewhere down the line, you just went, get out of here. Forget it. Don't even finish. Don't get to dessert. Go home. If using that analogy, if you will, you invite somebody to your home and they automatically seem to start taking over. What do you do? What is your opinion as a Brit? Because your country seems to be having a lot more problems with those you've invited, and they're out yelling and protesting and saying death to all Britons, British people, and so on and so forth. So what do you think? Well, first, what is your country doing, and then what is your opinion of what should be done with that?
Are we talking about the ISIS thing?
Well, yeah, we can use that.
Yeah, I mean, well, go back to sort of basics first. When Britain was in, I don't know when it was in chaos, but I mean, it's in chaos now, but it was in chaos, I think, financially, and we invited in this century, certainly in the 19th, 20th century, we invited all the Indians here and the Muslims. Now, we were in chaos, so we decided to open the doors to immigration many hundreds, well, a couple of hundred years ago anyway. And they then bought the corner shop. They run the taxis, run the bus companies. Now, at that time, we begged them to come in. So we asked, come on, India, got any people? And now, let's say 40 years ago, you would never see a shop open for 18 hours a day. Now in Britain, a shop is open 18 hours a day because of Muslims and immigrants. They'll sit at that shop counter from 6 a.m. to 12 midnight. I think that's 18 hours. And they think nothing of it. It's just their job, their passion, and of course they're earning a bit of money from it. So they're doing that. What the problem is, when the government, I think, have been bully boys, they're now, and the British people are saying, look, you can't go and bomb other countries. And what they're now doing is taking it out on the immigrants that live here and saying, look, we don't want you here no more. We're going to stop all the immigrants coming in. And of course, what they're doing is rebelling and saying, you invited us here. We're gonna have some protests.
Huh. Now, I guess the way the average American thinks is that these people immigrated there because they were looking for a better life. It wasn't an invitation. It was just, I want to move to another country because I can have a better life there. That would probably be the first thought. Because that's the way most immigrants move, is I want a better life, so I'm going to go to this country. This is the problem that's still existing in the United States and their immigration laws, and people that are coming from every place south of the American border is just trying to run up to the United States because they think that that's a better place to live and earn more money and have a better life. So, okay, there's greater and stronger influence of British culture in most of the Middle East. So, let's move up to England is one country. So, I guess the thought is, at least from the Americas, is people are moving there because they want a better life. And now that this intervention is going on, they're starting to go, well, now we want to take over. But you're telling us now that Britain actually invited people to come from these other countries. Is that correct?
I'm trying to find where I've read that, but I understood it when we was in chaos in a certain year, I don't know when that was now, that we invited all the Muslims. You are right about the better life thing, but guess what? They brought money here. They brought jobs and business. They never claimed any welfare benefit. If that means they've got a better life, then we don't mind that. They're putting money into our economy. They're having 24/7 jobs. Yeah, so it's not, they're giving us the better life by them coming. Who isn't giving us a better life as British are the people from Eastern Europe that come in for the welfare benefits. That's the difference. The Muslims came to give us a better life. The Eastern Europeans are coming to give us a worse life. And that's why the immigration now is chaos. And of course you then got, you let them in. Why didn't you let us in? And that's why they're all fighting. And, Britain and America have caused it, really. And there's no other word for it. I don't know where I got it from, but it's called ethnic cleansing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually, if you don't mind elaborating on this just a little bit, because in the media, where I read a lot of this information, a lot of the media is talking about, I'm going to just speak bluntly here, the Muslim influence in Europe right now is that, because you're saying that they came with money to improve the economy of Great Britain, but on the other side, media is saying that they're coming into the country and they're refusing to work. So can you give us a balance, or at least tell us which one is, well, just take it from there.
Are we talking about the Muslims now, or?
Yeah.
I'll try and find the article, a article. I mean, I remember this from being born, obviously, so it's embedded in my, at the time, I must admit, until I learned about it, at the time I thought, God, spot the white man, without being racist. It was spot the white man, but then once you read why they came, you then understood. I can't find the article, which is annoying.
Well, while you're looking, let me ask you this. Does it make sense to say that they were invited, let's just put it this way, other nations, other nationalities were invited into Britain because they already have a built-in, say, trade association with their own native countries and whatnot. So here, you come live here and help us with the trade. Would that be a fair assessment of that?
Yes, because I think in them days Britain did rule a part of India, didn't they?
Yeah.
And that's where it all stemmed from. So if Britain can rule in India, then why can't the Indians come over and the Muslims come over and live over here? We'll help you out and you help us out.
So with the invitations, let's say you invited those who can make the economy better, to influence the economy and the trade better, but on the other side, after these people started coming over, of course, they bring their families, they bring their friends, and their family and friends bring others, and then they're trying to help other people out. So now you're bringing in people that are basically shop owners, and then there are people who, of course, they exist in every culture and every culture. Those people that are, I don't want to say inherently, but some of people are just lazy, and they just want to live off of welfare. Is that part of the issue, or not? I'm not trying to point a finger. I'm just trying to bring a point of balance and understanding from what media is telling us and what your experience and your knowledge is on that.
Yeah, just recap the last bit. I didn't get the last bit. The other phone went while I was on hold. You were saying the balance between the Muslims coming in helping the economy and what the media said. I didn't get that bit.
Okay. Is you're saying that England invited, or Britain invited, people from India, could have been Hindus, could have been Sikhs, could have been anybody, and then they started inviting people from other Middle Eastern countries because they wanted to open more of a trade agreement with these countries. So they bring over people that already have connections with trade organizations or companies in their native countries. So yes, that boosts the economy, that makes the economy stronger. But of course, with that, you end up bringing in people who are saying, I want to bring over my family. So my family has more friends, and some of those people and whatnot, and maybe they're being genuine about it in saying, hey, let's help out some of our poor friends and or relatives. So they start coming into the country, and some of them open shops. Great, that's still great for the economy. But you get some of that with, get some people that are with that just, they don't want to work. They just, I'm in a foreign country, I don't know anything, I don't know the language, I don't know the culture, I want to keep my culture, so I just want to live off of welfare. So they become welfare recipients, which means now they're actually taking from the government instead of giving to it. So do you see this, and trying to balance this with what the media has told us about, well, in this case, Islam or Muslims that have come to the country that are not working, they're just living off of the social welfare, and they're causing more of a problem than they're actually creating a benefit.
Well, yeah, I think I don't know what the balance is, but originally we invited the Muslims anyway. When we invited Eastern Europeans, that was because we're forced to, because we're part of Europe, even though we're not in the Euro. So I think the problem recently, in the last 5 years, it's come to a big head because of the Eastern Europeans from Bulgaria, Romania, Poland, etc., 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 and they're the ones who don't really want to work. Having said that, the Polish seem to be the better workers of any Eastern European country, and stats do show that very few Polish are actually unemployed. Now, going back to the other question, and this is really, really amazing now, amazing because I didn't know this. I thought that the Muslims were probably the biggest percentage of working class people in the UK. In fact, it's the other way round. Figures do show from this year 53% of Muslim men in the UK are unemployed, and only 24% of Muslim women are actually working. So that is really, really big sort of, oh dear. But originally they was invited in to make the country better. It's got out of hand. I think the way you've put it is bring mum over, bring dad over, bring granny over, bring their cousins over. Britain's an open door now, let's come in, come on. And that's what's happened. And it's now got out of control. I don't know whether to blame the Muslims for that, to blame the Eastern Europeans, or just simply blame 20 to 30 years of bad government in the UK?
Yeah, at this point, I'm really not looking for blame. But anyway, we have to take our last break here, so stay tuned and we'll be right back with Andy Peacher.
Hello, welcome to K-Wave 6 Radio with Kirk Spencer. My name is Troy Matheson. I am a polymath and adventurer in arts and sciences, currently working with good people at newearthnation.org. I highly encourage you to check out that website. We're doing incredible things there. Thank you.
Are you ready to put an end to thinking about how you wish it were and take action? Take this step to find out more by going to coachingbyria.com. And you can receive your free consultation session with Coach Ria. Coach Ria is a certified professional life coach with a passion to help make the difference in the world.
Hi, this is Megan Serleski, author of Who Am I? How My Daughter Taught Me to Let Go and Live Again. And I am on K-Wave 6 Radio.
Hello and welcome back. We're in our final segment of today's show with Andy Peacher from England. We kind of diverted a little bit and went into international politics and whatnot and the reasons why certain things exist in England at this point, but we're going to bring it back to a close on the Scottish referendum and things that Andy knows and has studied, and anyway, he's going to share with us. So, Andy, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I think the international stuff was quite relevant because I think the outcome of most things is when it came to Scottish referendum, it was just the people rising up saying, you know, we can manage our own affairs. We want to be left alone and not controlled. So they had the right to say that. That was a yes vote. The no votes were saying, well, you know, if you leave us, you know, you'll be on your own. We'll take away all the military bases. We'll take away all your welfare. We'll take away all your oil, and you can just sit there and suffer on your own. So there was obviously blackmailed into the no vote. Then you had Cameron as well saying, you can have your devolution if you vote no, but we still want to have majority of control. So on the referendum, there was 55% voted no, and the other 45% voted yes. So the no vote won. So Scotland is not independent at the moment. They're not talking of a new vote anywhere soon, but they do say in Scotland this will not be the end, and we're going to try again in the future. Alex Salmond, the leader of the SNP, actually resigned because he basically said, look, I gave you all the chance. It never happened, so I'm gone.
Yeah, I gave it my best fight and now I'm gone. So where do you see things going possibly in the future?
I think we'll have a civil war one day, but that's probably 50 years ahead. There's a lot of people who still trust MPs, they still trust the government, or they're too powerless to do anything. What the governments of any country and land hates is people uniting and being together and doing things together. They want to split everybody up. I mean, what Scotland was saying really politically is, look, I don't want to be bullied anymore and told what to do, you know. And even if that wasn't the case, they probably thought, well, why should London bully my people? I can bully them myself. But either way, we're still, you know, people are still standing up for their rights. What's going to happen in the future in the next 5 or 10 years? I think the money is going to get so tight that people are going to get very frustrated. A lot of people are going to die and a lot of people are going to be sad. But in 50 years, I think there'll be a civil war.
yeah, I want to actually address the thing of fear, because as you're saying, people are afraid to lose what they have. As you're saying, Cameron was saying, well, if you do this, we'll move our military bases out, we won't ship you any oil, so on and so forth. Basically, as you're saying, having to start over again. You're going to have your own politicians that can make alliances with other countries so you can get the things that you need to continue on, at least with a comfortable life. Maybe not a wealthy life, but a comfortable life. Comfort meaning you still, if you're going to use, petrol-driven cars, you're going to have to make your own arrangements with countries that can supply your oil, countries that will supply you with the foods that you've become accustomed to, so you're not limited to whatever grows in. I don't know much of anything about Scotland as far as territory and geography, but most of the pictures I've seen is just basically grasslands. And so there's a limited amount of vegetation that grows in Scotland because it's, so far up north. And the fishing industry and other things along that line. So if you do lose this, instead of looking at it from fear, looking at it from a point of, hey, we can do it. Mother sometimes isn't mother of invention. So you'll find what you need, you'll get it. And especially if you're knowing that this is coming, you can start making those arrangements before the change happens.
Possibly, yeah. Hopefully as well.
Yeah.
But it's very difficult. It's that fear that's the problem. Even yes votes or no votes, they was all, the fear factor. Yes, people would say, well, if you vote yes, so the no would say, if you vote yes, this will happen, and vice versa. So whether you voted yes or no, fear was put on these people, and that's why I think one day the people will revolt and have a revolution, and there will be civil unrest, because you can't kick out, and we're going back internationally again, the problem may be the immigrants, maybe the people that have been let into this country and they've stolen all the welfare, which creates no jobs then for the people who live in the UK. It wasn't, at the end of the day, it wasn't the people's fault. It was governmental decisions. And I think because of that, there will be an internal war.
Well, I guess what I'm really getting at here is, on the positive side of things, is that with every revolution, there is change. And I'm not talking about a war revolution, but a revolution in the mind where it says, as you're saying, Scotland just got to the point where, hey, I don't need to be bullied. We have enough bullies here. So let's just deal with it from, as even The Guardian put it, they're very nationalistic. In other words, we're very proud to be Scottish, and that's quite evident even from our perspective over here on the other side of the big pond. Scots are very proud people, not a negative proud, but I'm proud to be who I am, that kind of a thing. And that doesn't mean that I have to degrade anybody else, but you're talking about also de-evolution in the legal system and even getting back to a socialistic point of view. And even using some of the I'm going to use religious communities that we know about in the United States, and where they still live in a farming or an agricultural type of a life, and their counties are generally run by their own particular people and religions, and they don't push themselves out to anybody else. But when the community needs something, or another person needs another barn, which is where we come up with the phrase of barn raising, the whole community comes together and they build this barn for that person. It's still that person's property, but the people have such a sense of community that it's almost based on a socialism or a socialistic type of a government where, oh, my neighbor needs something, let's go over there and help that person out. It doesn't come into a welfare state, it's just, you need some help. You can't do it by yourself, so let's do it together. And that's that sense of, if you will, socialism, but it's not taken to an extreme. But people live and work together to keep the common good of everybody going. And I think that's what you're coming up with when you were saying this a few segments ago, of let's just take care of each other. Would that be a good assessment of what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, obviously going back to common law again, and the common law of the land, really, I think welfare benefits were put there deliberately to control people in a fashion, because let's face it, you know, if you're given something and it's enough to get by, you could kind of lazily then not need or not want a job. So the money that's given for free shouldn't have ever happened. It should have been, okay, you've got no job, but you need to eat. Mm-hmm. Go to the store and get some food. You know, by doing that, maybe you could let that lady have a hand because she needs a house decorating, you know, and over 3 weeks, decorate that lady's house in exchange for, that's what they're trying to do at the moment, but they're doing it in such a way that, you know, we gave you the money, now we're taking it back, and if you don't do this, you won't eat. Yeah. But if they'd stuck to the original method of all that is, okay, you can't work, so let's help you out a little bit. If you need a car to go to job interviews or to have a job, either give you a car or give you a bus ticket, you know, for the week, a pass. Yeah. And now they're making it mandatory.
Yeah. Well, getting into that kind of a system and the welfare system and whatnot, that's another conversation for another show. So let's wrap this up for today's interview on what do you know about what's going on with the, well, we know that the referendum didn't pass. So what else can you tell us about what is, what has happened, what is going to happen, what you think may happen with this referendum from what you know? I mean, you say you live not too far from the Scottish border, is that correct?
No, I actually live quite away from the Scottish borders, but having lived in Scotland for a long time and have children up there, I think what's going to happen in the future, in the immediate future, they'll probably go for another vote, yes or no. They are very proud people, like you said, but not necessarily negative with the proudness. Mm-hmm. It's not that they don't like English or they don't like foreigners. They just want to be left alone to do it the Scottish way, you know, like the Welsh and the Irish and the Americans. You know, we can't show you how to do this when you're the master of it, you know. Yeah, give you an example quickly, the whiskey. Scottish was the king of whiskey, so Russia was the king of vodka. So you don't interfere in certain things, and that's why they're so proud.
Indeed. Well, with that, Andy, thank you very much for being here. Don't go away. I just have to make a few little announcements here. Then if you have any thoughts that you want to share with us just as we're closing, be welcome to do so. But my notes are, as usual, you can listen to K-Wave 6 Radio via iTunes, Stitcher, Podcast.com, RSS feed, and even on YouTube. All of our shows are free, and the players are computer and smartphone friendly, so you can listen at home and on the go. You can subscribe to any one of the players that you so choose, that you like, and that will give you automatic updates to when we post a new show, upload a new show. And you can also, and we invite you actually, to subscribe to the blog, to the website, and whatnot. You can find all of this information on the homepage of our K-Wave 6 Radio, which is kwave6radio.tk. You can find us there, and all the information is on the home page. We've just updated something recently, which we created an About page, so if you want to know about what's going on here, you can go there. If you have any questions, comments, or even suggestions for the show, go to our contact page and or just send us an email at info@kwave6radio.tk. That's kwave6 with the number 6 radio.tk. And we also ask that you support our advertisers, and if you miss any of our advertisers, you can always find them on our advertisers page, complete with a link directly to their websites. So we thank you for being here. Andy, do you have any final thoughts?
Yeah, look after each other. You know, don't worry too much what the governments are doing to you, and stick by the basic principles of, you know, care, love and share. Obviously, don't forget yourself first.
Definitely. Thank you, Andy, for being here. We'll see you again on another show in the not-too-distant future. And thank you for everyone for being a listener here. Pass the message on, and we'll see you again next time. Be well.
Thank you for being part of our audience. For more information about K-Wave 6 Radio and the services we offer, go to www.kwave6radio.tk. Have a wonderful day.